Howdy and welcome to Austin, Texas for highlights from the 9th round of the 2024 Formula SimRacing World Championship, the United States Grand Prix. Here's all the driver changes you need to know going in. 2015 champion Petr Briliak returns in a one-off drive, filling in the second seat at Super Venturi. Thomas Vack is also back, the pole summing in for Matthias Stari at Go Team. Finally, Optiminal have taken on the services of Pro winner Alessandro Maggio and GPV Superlights points leader Alex Lahou. Jerne Simoncic took his second pole of the season, but Jarl Tyen made a terrible launch from the front row, opening the door for points leader Yannick Bock to squeeze himself up the inside, only to find his title rival Owen Magorgi in turn diving up his inside into turn 1. Tyen meanwhile fended off Maggio for 6th as he got to grips with his hard tyres. Lahou was fighting with Hoyer for 11th when he lost control through turn 10, the Frenchman collecting himself up on the grass and losing several places on his World Championship debut. On lap 3, Dennis Jordan used DRS in his soft tyres to breeze past Simoncic for the lead into turn 12. Sander Callas was on the move, and on lap 6 he attempted to dive up the inside of Manuel Biancalila into turn 15. The VEM driver, returning from a race ban, was forced off into the runoff, but held the inside through turns 16, 17 and 18 to defend and maintain 7th position. On lap 7, Philip Pushke spun out of the final points paying position on the exit of turn 9. George Zalagianis failed to avoid the Evo in time and bounced off the German into the gravel. The gravel was exactly where Giordano Valeriano was heading as well, as the Italian lost control through turn 17 and decided to call it a day. Lap 10 and Jordan was starting to struggle on the softs, allowing Simoncic to retake the lead, as Ferrari brought their lead driver into the pits for new tyres at the end of the lap. Magorgi responded a lap later with a stop of his own and was followed in by his teammate Jake Dennehan and Vack. Race Clutch would re-emerge behind Jordan, who had undercut to keep track position. Dennehan was now just ahead of Callas, who showed his nose into turn 12 and began to give the Irishman some serious trouble. The ground effect driver launched another attack on the inside into turn 15 and made side-on contact with the Race Clutch. Dennehan knew he was losing time and reasserted himself on the inside through 16, 17 and 18. Unfortunately for him, Callas was not done yet, the Estonian making an opportunistic dive on the inside of the first corner before weaving around into turn 1 to look for any possible opening. Meanwhile, Hoyer was in for his first stop. Simoncic pit at the end of the following lap, relinquishing the lead to Bock and emerging in between Magorgi and the delayed Dennehan. Bock responded to hold off the 4-time champion next time around, allowing Tyen to lead for the first time. Bock found himself undercut by Hoyer and Maggio attempted to muscle his way around the outside into turn 1, but Bock wasn't having any of that and simply held on around the outside at the S's to retake 8th, forcing the rookie to back out. Hoyer was the next target and the championship leader used the DRS in the extra grip of his fresh tyres to go around the outside at turn 12. Maggio sought to take advantage almost immediately with a late dive on the brakes into turn 15, but Hoyer kept his momentum around the outside as the pair went side by side through the triple right-hander. Maggio attempted to get the inside for turn 19 but had to back out and go wide, opening the door for Biancalila to fly past him. Tyen meanwhile had pit for another set of hard tyres, emerging 11th. Biancalila made an opportunistic move on Hoyer at turn 12 but had outbraked himself, allowing the German to retake the position back from the VEM. A few laps later, Tyen had caught the rear of this train and picked off Isaac Gillison's Ferrari for 10th with a brave move around the outside into 12, coming out on top when that became the inside for turn 13. Jan Grankvist was running 17th when he took too much curb at turn 7 and spun, leading to another humiliating retirement for the former points leader. Bock was at the same time closing on Callas, the German comfortably climbing up to 5th with the aid of the DRS. Lap 22 and a heart-in-mouth moment as Magorgi went for a high-risk manoeuvre on Jordan. The Race Clutch slotted into a gap on the inside and Jordan soared away at the wheel wildly and just about regained control as Magorgi now assumed the lead. Unsurprisingly, Jordan then immediately made his second pit stop and was followed in 3 laps later by Dennehan. McGorgy and Hoyer were in for new tyres on lap 27. The rFactor driver had been able to undercut Maggio when the Italian pit a lap later as Gillison also emerged ahead into turn 1. SimRacing made his second stop on lap 29. It didn't take long for the Slovenian to pick off the long-running Kallas, the DRS coming into play into turn 12. Lap 31 and Bock and Tyen visited the pit lane. Bock emerged behind Dennehan whilst the Netrex of Tyen found himself jumped by the Optimal of Maggio into turn 1. McGorgy meanwhile was back to his favourite pastime, squabbling with Jordan. The Ferrari driver defended the inside into turn 12 and very nearly forced the Englishman off track. McGorgy quickly saw an opportunity to dive up the inside into turn 15 but spun up the rear tyres and ended up locking wheels with Jordan, ending with McGorgy doing a clumsy half spin and losing 3 positions. This freed up SimRacing to go around the outside at turn 12 for the race lead, which this time Jordan could do nothing to prevent. Dennehan now easily picked off Kallas for third as his teammate McGorgy was eager to regain ground, eventually clearing the Estonian on lap 33. Jordan made his third stop at the end of the lap as Bock assertively put himself up the inside of Kallas into turn 1. Tyen was not far behind, the Norwegian dispensing with Kallas into turn 11 as Race Clutch swapped their drivers. Maggio then made a kamikaze dive on Kallas into turn 15 and used a ground effect car to brake and arrest his slide, gifting 2 places to Biancalila. Kallas was clearly less than impressed. Bock now attacked Dennehan for third and the Irishman got into ultra defensive mode, going late on the brakes into 12 to protect his teammate. Bock was forced off track but kept the place. Tyen then followed with an aggressive dive into turn 1, which despite his best efforts, Dennehan was powerless to defend from. The 2 title protagonists then duelled it out into turn 12 as McGorgy defended against Bock, but left a small opening on the outside into 13. Neither driver was willing to yield and McGorgy had a massive slide which sent him directly into Bock's rear wheel, spinning the Evo around in a dramatic moment in the championship. 3 laps later, McGorgy came in for his final pit stop in an attempt to undercut his way back through. The 2 Optiminals then swapped positions, Maggio allowing the recovering Lehu past him. Dennehan, Biancalila and Hoyer then flooded into the pits, with McGorgy pumping in a great outlap to regain 2 positions. Maggio was now easy prey for Braxox Brabham, but Jordan was also getting a massive tow down the back straight. The Ferrari swept in from the outside and completed a double move after only minor contact with the Brabham. On lap 42, Biancalila got the run on Dennehan and set after the other race clutch of McGorgy. With 12 laps to go, Tyen made his final stop onto mediums, crucially still coming out ahead of McGorgy. Kallas once again had to be dealt with and the Netrex wasted little time thanks to the aid of DRS. SimRacing now had to respond, coming out just behind Jordan in second. Bock also pit for the softs, only to find he had lost track position to Race Clutch as Hoyer cleared him round the outside to take 8th. It was not to last, however, the German finding himself a sitting duck down the back straight as Bock regained the place. Jordan and Kallas made their final stops with 10 laps to go, giving 2 more positions to the title contenders. Biancalila had now caught McGorgy and the British drivers having a tough time fending him off on the hards. A mistake into turn 12 allowing the VEM to pull alongside and then sweep around the outside into turns 13 and 14, giving him the inside into 15. Now McGorgy will be level on points with Bock. Now it was down to Dennehan to keep the points leader at bay, and as Bock looked to the outside, Dennehan extended the braking zone. The Gem was able to get the inside for 13 but was desperate not to be taken out and allowed Dennehan to come around the outside as Bock waited for a better opportunity. He then attempted a late dive into turn 1 but Dennehan simply cut across his bow and contact was made. Then a big surprise, McGorgy used DRS to retake Biancalila for third. With 3 laps to go, Bock again looked to the outside at turn 12, but Dennehan once more had the measure of the Evo driver. Tyen had been catching SimRacing for the lead, but the 4-time champion did just enough to hold the Netrex at bay and take his second win of the season by just half a second, a well-earned victory. Second was Tyen's best result in the World Championship to date. A rollercoaster day for McGorgy ended in a podium. Biancalila had a very strong return in 4th. Dennehan did some superb rearguard action to fend off Bock for 5th. Jordan made 4 stops and ended up 7th ahead of Hoyer, Braxock and fellow 4-stopper Kallas. Alex Lehu recovered from a poor first lap to finish 11th on his debut at the top level, beating the Ferrari of Gillison and the Super Venturi of Brigliac. His teammate Maggio was 14th and Kostas Van Vukas rounded out the point scorers. Vak was 16th ahead of the spinning Pushke. Bad luck though for Zalagianis, Prosciutto, Grankvist and Valiano as they all spun out. Just one race remaining, Owen McGorgy is the new championship leader by 5 points over Yannick Bock, meaning he can clinch a title in Suzuka with 2nd place. Denahan secures 3rd place, but just 10 points separate Braxok and Simoncic in the fight for 4th. Biancalida and Jordan are now level, another 9 points behind Simoncic, and Hoyer is a further 4 points adrift in 8th. Grankvist meanwhile is under threat for 9th from the ever-consistent Callas. With Race Clutch having already sealed the team's title, it's all about the fight for 2nd with just 7 points between Evolution and Rafa. Ferrari are now 6 points clear of the one-car team Brabham in the fight for 4th. VEM remains 6th ahead of Super Venturi, and it was a great day for Netrex. They leap up from last to 8th, just 4 points clear of Grand Effect and Optiminal. So after 9 rounds of all-out action, it all comes down to the showdown in Suzuka between McGorgy and Bock. Will it be Britain or Germany that triumphs in the Far East? Find out who's going to win their first World Championship on the 4th of August, but from me, Edward Hunter, and from a sweltering circuit of the Americas, it's sayonara for now.